Hello, welcome once again to Living and Active. You are joining me in what I like to call the weird hours, and that is when I am on the wrong side of the clock because of energy and sleep issues and pain issues and mobility issues and all of the issues. And so I have my energy and my mobility in the overnight hours instead of during regular business hours. So that means that I need to be productive during this time or whatever little bit of energy and stamina that I might have is wasted. So if you've been keeping track of when I've been shooting most of my videos, you will uh, understand that this mostly leans towards me being nocturnal, but it's impossible to actually nail me down to any sort of sleep pattern, whatever, which is part of the debilitating nature of all of these things that I'm going through. But anyway, I want to do this video. This is going to be on the Motel's new machine playlist in case you didn't get that by how long I lingered on that sign. This sign, by the way, was made for me by a very nice fellow whose name I don't remember in a shop somewhere in California that I ordered through Etsy. So I didn't make the sign. The desk, the cabinet, whatever. Sorry, I'm trying to do my wheelchair cinematography here. Uh, Came from the local thrift shop. It actually sat in the thrift store for months, like a very, very long time. And sorry, I'm having to switch back and forth with my hands to be able to actually uh, maneuver with the wheelchair. I'll try to get you back in a more secure hold here. But it sat in the thrift store forever, a long time. I would say about a year. And I was like, no, I don't have anywhere to put it. I knew it was a sewing machine table, but I was like, well, what am I going to do with it? And then I had the bright idea, because it was just a table, it wasn't a machine. I had the bright idea, I was like, I need somewhere where I can start running through all of these antique machines that I have and start testing them, no matter what kind of power they have or use. Um, and so I had the bright idea uh, to get this unit together and actually turn it into a multi-functional sort of testing station for the various machines and stuff that I put through here that I come across. Maybe you can see on this side I've mounted a power strip, uh, plugs. I can't see what I'm looking at. Plugs right there. And this slide's actually fairly easy on the carpet. I don't have wheels on it yet. That might be something to do for a later day, but I've got uh, there's an actual power supply. Let me I don't know if I'll be able to do this. But this whole thing, since I got it, and I've had it for maybe 3 months now, maybe going on 4, I don't remember. But this thing is, it's a mutant. It's not branded. It's not germane to any of the big names of sewing machines of this vintage. It really isn't. And I have a couple dozen sewing machines here. I've got them hidden everywhere. They are everywhere. I've got throughout at least 2 rooms, maybe 3 if I've still got some left in my stash spot in my bedroom. But in at least 2 rooms, I mean, these machines are pretty much everywhere, and I've got 2 more really nice ones coming in, really cool. Um, but and they're all kinds of different brands. They're not all Singers. Like all of those machines over there on that side, those are all. Ooh, let me do a spotlight. I have a spare bicycle headlight for my power assist device, so I can actually do a spotlight. That's my old power assist device. It doesn't work anymore. It had to be replaced. I don't know what to do with it. But if I'm actually going to get serious about doing mods, repairs, and everything else for durable medical equipment and mobility aids and things like that, then I should probably hang on to it and see if I can figure out how to fix it. But the things behind the power assist device, all those beautiful sewing machines there, those are all Singers that are at least 100 years old. Those are all sewing machines that are not Singers that are over 100 years old. This one here is a white. I've got a Minnesota somewhere, and then I've got all of the ones that I have in my in the shop, the workroom, whatever. And the thing with those is that they're all kinds of different brands, whatever. They're all off brands, and the receptors for these mounting lugs here that go into the table, they're not standard between any of those brands whatsoever. So I would have to know specifically the make and model of the machine that came with this table in order to have a fit. Right now, what I'm looking at is, let's see if I can do this and not lose anything important. Right now, the situation I'm looking at is that I found one machine, this Reliance Special. I have one machine that has a spacing of 9.5 inches between the mounting lugs that are required for the way this table's set up. But the base is, let's see if I can do this. The base is too skinny in both directions. So you can see there's a big old gap there. It doesn't catch the edge here to keep it from just falling through. Big old gap on that side. And the lugs themselves are just barely into the machine enough to kind of hold it in place. So I can't just scoot the machine farther out along the lugs and use that to kind of make up that space. So I have to do many things. The first thing I had to do to this table I meant to do this when I was farther away in better position for it, but the first thing I had to do with this table is this whole side here was blown out. It was separated, it was kicked out, and the bottom was separated at the corner. So I had to get the trim piece reinstalled on the bottom. I had to reinstall. I didn't get any of this done. I did all this work myself, crawling around on the floor, dragging myself. And then I set screws in at the bracing for the drawer slides to just kind of pull everything back in towards itself. and keep it more secure once the glue is done. So I have it anchored like that both ways to protect this face from falling out again. I kind of sort of tried to make the screws on the sign match, but I didn't really do a good job of it because those screws, for some reason, didn't like playing with that sign. So it is what it is. But the next thing I had to do, I did hit the top of this with a little aerosol spray teak oil just to get some of the deeper gaps covered, the gouges and scratches, because this thing was beat up. But under here, I actually have, you see where their screw is, there's a giant hole underneath this that I just could not find the hardware to make. So what I did was I took some drywall anchors, I shoved them into the hole, made sure they were tight, and then I just screwed down through these feet here into the drywall anchors, which then expanded the drywall anchors, and so now I have big pieces of plastic on both of these that are holding the weight of this machine into the table, because that's what I had to do. But now the next steps for this are going to be, I don't think I mind the side gaps too much. I mean, if I'm working with the machine or whatever, then I can deal with it. I can probably make something for the sides if I have to, or whatever. I don't have the space or the equipment to redo a whole new wood insert and, you know, make it go out farther so that the machine catches and then go around the front and back to close up this gap. I don't have any of that. And I wouldn't be able to make that happen. Budgetary constraints and space and everything else, noise and how much of a mess it would make, I'm not able to do that. Now, if I had my own shop place, then I would absolutely, I would not hesitate at all to take on, you know, getting stuff together to get that kind of thing done. But I think the fix here is going to be, I'm going to get, I think, an extension. I'm probably going to get like a metal plate or something to sit underneath this flap here, and kind of extend out underneath the machine a little bit to serve as the support, obviously, just to keep it from falling through. Metal plate, probably a couple straps from the metal to the wood screwed in at all points to keep it from going anywhere, and then probably there's some felt or something to build up underneath the top of the metal plate, just to give some of the elevation and keep it from getting as messed up. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to set this up where, because most of the machines have this gap back here that I have not found a single machine with a bed long enough to cover the gaps front and back. So what I was thinking about doing is actually getting a treadle wheel for these treadle machines, because that's what this is. This is a treadle machine. Getting a treadle wheel, running a belt up, and then I would have to figure out some way of actually operating the treadle, which is not. I would have to find some way of being able to even maybe like mounting getting some kind of crank that I can set off to the side offset and run a belt from some kind of thing set off to the side or in front or something just to turn the wheel. That's all I really need. Or I could, if I really wanted to, I could probably get a wooden piece here, build up something to mount a hand crank to, and then just use the hand crank on this machine, because since it is a treadle machine, there's no lug here to mount either a motor or a hand crank to. This is flat. So since there's nowhere to actually mount a hand crank to the machine, I have to anchor that hand crank somehow. And then I'd be able to, once I get that configured, that's probably the best thing to do, is just get a block or something that has a pre-installed hand crank on it, and then when I need to use a machine that's meant for a treadle on this table, instead of monkeying with trying to fabricate a treadled mechanism in here, then I'll just bring out the hand crank edition, lock it down, get it set up, and do it that way. But this also has electrical inside of it. There's a very specific type of connection for the power supply, and it's got the main power supply has a knee switch, which is very handy for someone that's in a wheelchair and that has at least a little bit of lateral whatever. And even if not, I can literally roll my chair up. If I had the desk moved out, I could roll my chair up and use my chair to just maneuver my knees into the knee switch here. And as long as I can manage to maintain control of the fabric while the machine's running, this would still work. So I'm literally just swinging the chair back and forth. So then, if I could figure out that, then I'd be able to test electrical machines or motorized machines, hand crank machines, and machines that are meant to be operated on a treadle. But I've got a lot of fixing to do in order to stabilize and secure the machine and figure out the mounting, how I'm going to mount the hand crank to skip the treadle function. The other thing I need to consider is I need to be able to come up with a way of adjusting the lug mount, or the mounting lug configuration, because none of these machines, this is the only machine that even comes close to matching the way these things are set up. I've tried all of them. So if I want to test any other machines in here, I've got to be able to figure out probably machine some way, or do something where I can change, or I can move the mounting lugs, or maybe have, because it's like an inch. That most of these machines are like 8.5 inches in between lugs. These are 9.5. So if I could figure out some way of getting lugs mounted maybe to the inside edges of these mounts that are here, I might be able to kind of sort of finagle away so I could have two sets of lugs in at the same time, just permanently mounted, and then I can use back, if hopefully it's accurate enough where it can work for multiple types of machines. But then I could, I wouldn't have to do anything crazy. I just have to get the other set mounted to the inside, to the smaller, to the narrower width to accommodate the other machines, and then I'd be able to run through however many machines I want to put on here and test and get them stabilized and cleaned up and repaired and get the missing pieces. By the way, Because this is a Reliance Special, and I've never heard of a Reliance Special brand of sewing machine from this era or any other, and because neither has the sewing machine part supplier that I usually go to, one of the first things I have to do is I have to actually fabricate a mounting collar for the needle on the needle bar here, and then go through the whole thing and make sure, like, see what other parts are needed, like the interaction between the bobbin winder here, and this is actually meant to operate by, you pull it out into the track of the belt from the treadle, and then it puts tension inside the treadle belt, and that spins this, and that activates all of these mechanisms here to make the thread wind up on the bobbin. And all of that's going to be bypassed if I put this on a hand crank. So I don't know. I've got a lot of thinking to figure out if I'm going to have this be my one-stop shop for testing various kinds of machine, but this is its current state. So there you go. That's this video for Motel's new machine. I'm going to go grab some coffee and a notebook, and I'm going to start sketching out some ideas and trying to figure this thing out. So whatever you're up to, remember Hebrews 11:6, and until next time, if there is next time, and there might not be, God be with you.